Hi there, it's Jomar here. As you know, takeoffs are one of the crucial parts of a flight. But what if, as pilots, we have crosswind? So in this video, I will try to explain you 4 main tips for crosswind takeoffs. If you're ready, let's get started. Before getting into the subject, you may follow me on other social media accounts as well. As you may predict, there are some parts on takeoff roll, and there is also a term called rolling takeoff, which is used especially for crosswind takeoffs. The rolling takeoff procedure is strongly advised when crosswind exceeds 20 knots or tailwind is more than 5 knots. Guys, in general, rolling takeoffs are advised, but all of my assumptions are for Boeing 777. Rolling takeoffs are advised when crosswind component exceeds 20 knots or if a tailwind occurs if it is more than 5 knots. When you get your lineup clearance, you should pay attention to wind sucks, and from initial perspective you may take a look at them and you can predict what is waiting for you for the takeoff roll. And also there are some units, they are called navigation display unit, which allows you to see the direction and the speed component of the related wind. Let's imagine that we are beginning our takeoff roll. Initial runway alignment and a smooth takeoff thrust application result in acceptable crosswind control capability during takeoff. Below 80 knots, maintaining forward pressure on control column increases the nose wheel steering effectiveness. The amount of forward pressure required increases as the crosswind component increases. During takeoff, in strong crosswinds or FCG conditions, forward pressure required may result in a full forward control column position. Counter any deviation from the center line during thrust application with immediate smooth and positive control inputs. Smooth rudder and control wheel inputs result in a normal takeoff with no over controlling. In crosswind conditions with low airspeed, the crosswind acting on the engine nacelles may cause a downwind turning tendency as thrust increases. When airspeed is below 80 knots, up to full application of upwind rudder may be needed to maintain runway alignment. Large control wheel inputs can have an adverse effect on directional control near V1 due to the additional drag of the extended spoilers. Guys, with wet or slippery runway conditions, PM plays a crucial role and need to pay too much attention to ensuring the engines have symmetrically balanced thrust indications. Guys, while beginning the takeoff roll, make sure that your control wheel is approximately centered. You may put a little bit deflection, but don't forget that if you put too much, those deflections can energize the spoiler. So unwanted spoilers can extend. So be careful. So begin the takeoff roll with control wheel almost center. Throughout the takeoff roll, gradually increase the control wheel displacement into the wind, only enough to maintain approximately wings level. Additionally, as I explained to you, while beginning takeoff roll, you may energize the spoilers by putting too much displacement for the wheel, control wheel. It applies while lifting off. Guys, excessive control wheel displacement during rotation and liftoff increases spoiler deployment. As spoiler deployment increases, drag increases, lift is reduced, which results in reduced tail clearance, a longer takeoff roll, and slower airplane acceleration. At liftoff, airplane is in a side slip with crossed controls. A slow, smooth recovery from the side slip is accomplished by slowly neutralizing the control wheel and rudder pedals after liftoff. Another tip is for takeoff in gusty or strong crosswind conditions, use of a higher thrust setting than the minimum required is recommended. When the prevailing wind is at or 90 degrees to the runway, the possibility of wind shifts resulting in gusty tailwind components during rotation and liftoff increases. During this condition, consider the use of thrust settings close to or at minimum takeoff thrust. The use of a higher thrust setting reduces the required runway length and minimizes the airplane exposure to gusty conditions during rotation, liftoff, and initial climb. To increase tail clearance during strong crosswind conditions, consider using a higher VR, VROTATE, if the performance calculations permit. And also, this can be done by using improved climb takeoff performance or increasing VR speed to the performance limited gross weight rotation speed not to exceed actual gross weight VR plus 20 knots. You may set your V speeds, which are V1, VROTATE, V2, for actual gross weights. Rotate at the adjusted rotation speed. This increased rotation speed results in an increased stall margin and meets takeoff performance requirements. Avoid early rotations during a gust. If a gust experience near VR, as indicated by stagnant airspeed or rapid airspeed acceleration, you should delay your rotation. This slight delay allows the airplane additional time to accelerate through the gust, and the resulting additional airspeed margin improves the tail clearance margin. Don't rotate early or use a higher than normal rotation rate in an attempt to clear the ground and reduce the gust effect, because this reduces the tail clearance margin. Limit control wheel input to that required to keep wings level. Use of excessive control wheel increases the spoiler deployment, which has the effect of reducing tail clearance. All of these factors provide the maximum energy to accelerate through gusts while maintaining tail clearance margins at liftoff. The airplane is in a side slip with crossed controls at this point. A small, smooth recovery from the side slip is accomplished after liftoff by slowly neutralizing the control wheel and rudder pedals. Guys, there are some restrictions laid down by the companies or operators for first officers. If the crosswind components exceed 15 knots, captain is needed to perform the takeoff role for crosswind components. It's good to know. That's it from today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I gave you some clues about crosswind takeoffs. So if you liked the video, don't forget to give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and if you have any tingling questions in your mind, or if you want any other videos related with aviation, any topics, comment below. I will try to mention them as soon as possible. Until then, bye bye.